Good day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is sort of both a continuation of my Squat/Votann series, plus it's going to lead into Necromunda. I'm going to be talking about the Squat Minor Gangs by Phil Tortorici, which was released in Gang War 4 many years ago. This is for old Necromunda, not new Necromunda, and I thought it might be interesting to look at the default squat gang for that setting. Squat gangs were basically prospectors from one of the many leagues. The exact one was never really made clear. It was simply to include squat models into a Necromunda game. Of course, we do have some at the moment. We have the Bounty Hunter, and we have the, I think it's an Armor Master, or someone someone like an Armor Master or something like that. But because the squats were seen as a sort of like ally / offshoot of humanity, the Imperium tended to treat them with a little more respect than other abhumans. Right, before we continue here, I want to bring up something Mark Bedford mentioned in a recent video. He mentioned that there could be a squat refinery or mining facility on Necromunda now in the new setting. That was something which was interesting in my opinion, and sparked me to make this video a little bit earlier than I probably would have. Now, if you're familiar with squats in 2nd edition, this might be very familiar to you. If you're not, I will try and do a very brief overview of them in this video, but if you really want more information, I suggest looking at one of my other videos for the League of Votann, where I try and bring the Outlaw up to date in the little series that I'm doing. These videos are not very long, they're about 5-6 minutes each, so you get a lot of content for such a short interaction, and it really helps me out, to be honest. If you can watch, that'd be great, and if you can like and subscribe, that'd be great as well, thank you. Right, in the old Necromunda, the prospectors were freelancers, and they went to Necromunda in order to get rich. Squats are asteroid miners and dead world miners at heart, and looking for rare materials and rare resources is basically how they exist. Squats are hardy people, and so surviving in an environment that's actively trying to kill you, such as Necromunda, is not something unexpected for a squat or a Votann. Now, of important note, the conversions for these models were using the old dwarf miners from Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and you can see this in the very grainy black and white pictures that we have from that Gang War magazine many years ago. We'll start with the Prospector, and we'll take a quick look at him, squats and Demiurge. And this dwarf archetype had a very good weapon skill, mediocre initiative, decent-ish ballistic skill, very tough for a descendant of Necromunda, but were ultimately very mediocre in other ways. They had high leadership in one attack. The Prospector was 120 credits, which that was a lot back then. He had basically the same buff that champions have now. He has resilience, basically a serious injuries table, roll twice, encumbrance. He can have 2 sets of equipment on him without having to switch between them, basically. And Nerves of Steel, special rules. He also had 60 plus D6 XP, and you could arm him with heavy weapons. Squats did not take penalties for wielding heavy weapons. This is one of the very few gangs back then where your leaders and champions could bulk around with missile launchers or las cannons or whatever. Then we had the miners themselves, who were 80 credits. This is quite expensive as well for a basic ganger. They had very poor movement, all of them did. Movement 3, they were dwarfs basically. They were all armed with mining picks. Again, they were using the dwarf miners from Warhammer Fantasy Battle as a basis. They had Nerves of Steel. They all have Nerves of Steel basically, and they were using the Outlaw trading chart, so they were unofficial on Necromunda. Will they be still? I don't know if they're actually coming back. Mark Bedford just made this comment recently. We don't know anything more than that. The Votann are a very interesting update of the thing. Now, they did have matchlocks, which was a bit absurd for squats who were wielding technology sometimes superior to the Imperium back in the day, but they gave them matchlocks, shovel picks, las cutters, which is a bit like the las mining device that Genestealer Cult use, and the Sonic Cleanser, again, a bit like one of the Genestealer Cult weapons that we have now. Basically, the Lascutter only had a 9 to 16 inch range on long and 0 to 18 short, strength 9, 2 damage, 2d6 damage, minus safe armor, and plus 2 ammo roll. The matchlock, shovel and pick were close combat only as user. Sonic cleanser, close combat only. Knockdown, basically it gives you a knockdown. It's a sonic pulse that knocks people down. They also had the minor map, which enabled them to get bits and pieces easier, which was okay, I guess. This was just really odd gang to put in Necromunda back in the day, because it was obviously someone had loved squats and they were on the downturn of their incarnation up until now. Someone basically just wanted to bring them into Necromunda and used what models they probably had to spare and decided to write rules on them. It's not a terrible conversion, but in my opinion it's very lackluster for what it wants to do. It's okay if you're running them, but they're very high costed for what they do. You know, there were 80 credits per minor, and the slaggers, who were the Jube equivalents, were 40 credits. You were paying about 25 credits for a Jubes back then, so you are paying a premium for, in my opinion, toughness 4 and a higher leadership and the ability to carry 2 sets of equipment on you. Right, they were Outlanders, which means they were Outlaws. The Outlaws back then had very different rules to now. You had to have things like surviving starvation and stuff like that. Scabies would often eat people if they caught them and stuff like that. It was a bit different, but in my opinion the weird outlaw thing we've got now isn't too bad. It's not the same, obviously things are different, but it's not too bad. But the squad gang was an interesting idea. Phil Tortorici, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, was a pretty decent guy to make rules. He made the rules pretty decent in my opinion. Basically he used what he had, as I said before. But you are paying a premium for a few stats. I think that he went on the higher end of credit choices simply because they were squats and they had a bit of a different starting profile. A bit overcosted, as I said, but he basically calls it the Seven Dwarfs meet the Treasure of Sierra Madre. The two films, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, was a Humphrey Bogart movie, black and white, so if you're familiar with that, if you're not, basically they're just trying to find this rather lost relic in the desert. It's set around World War II, like a lot of Humphrey Bogart movies, so that plays into it a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of adventure, treasure hunting and stuff like that. Nerves of Steel was pretty decent back then. A pretty decent skill to get you for free, so again you're paying that premium for that skill. The weapons that they could choose were autogun, shotgun, lasgun, blunderbuss, crossbow, muskets. Why would you be giving them muskets? They've got better technology than the Imperium. Again, he's probably just using what he has. Stubgun, auto pistol, las pistol, bolt pistol, plasma pistol. Chains, clubs, mauls, bludgeons, knives, massive axle, hammer, matlocks, pick or shovel were free. The other ones had points cost: manstopper, shotgun shells, hot shot, shotgun shells, dum-dum, bullets, dump gun, and demolition charges. The special weapons were flamer, melter, las cutter, rock drill, sonic cleanser. So that's it. For being able to lunk around heavy weapons, you're not even given many of them in the character creation, so it seems an arbitrary rule for relying on you getting heavy weapons in the outlaw trading chart, which was pretty hard to do, to be honest, in my opinion. They got a pretty decent advances table. Advances were done very differently back in the day, and they had all of them could take techno skills. They had ferocity skills as well. A couple had muscle. The prospector had combat, muscle, and shooting extra skills. So again, very weird selection of skills in my opinion. Squats are in some ways really decent at shooting in my opinion, and some ways really decent at melee. It really depends on which direction you want to take them in. Squats were usually fighting in close quarter combat with creatures that were coming into mining tunnels. If you've played Deep Rock Galactic, that's basically what squat life was like back in the day, but I don't know if it's like that now because we don't have much information, and anything we do have would be me guessing, and I'm trying not to guess too much because I don't want to be brought up in the future. Oh, well, you were all wrong about this. Well, yes, I was using 2nd edition stuff, and I was trying to amplify it to 9th. That's why I'm trying to be very careful what I say. So that was the squat miner gang for Necromunda. A very okay-ish gang in my opinion. Didn't see a lot of on the tabletop. It was in one of these magazines that you used to pick up for a couple of quid back in the day, and I hope that was enlightening to some people. I know some people are excited for them to return. Some people heard Mark Bedford's comments and made a little video on it. I thought I would do my own, where we look back on Necromunda and the squat gangs. We can look at Grendel Goranson and the other guy in Necromunda if people really want me to, but I see them as being outliers rather than the main type of Votann member. You see, they're still called squats in Necromunda. They basically still insult them. The Imperium's a bit weird in some regards, especially when it was with the squats / Votann, because they are humans, but they're not humans at the same time. So some people call them abhumans, sometimes they're called Homo sapiens rotundus, depending on which Inquisitor you get hold of. And Helmor himself has really limited the amount of people that can come to Necromunda, especially if they're Xeno, which technically squats can be counted as one or the other, so they can counted as abhumans or Xenos depending on which guy is in charge at what time. I will note that I would like to see more Xeno on Necromunda. I would like to see Hrud, I would like to see Demiurge, I would like to see Rakagul hunting parties, a bit like the Predator, come down and take the choices to prey. Gangs obviously are vicious and savage, and Rakagul excel in violence, and they would be perfect in my opinion to do a hunting party. The sprayers won't be top dog when they meet a Rakagul, that's for sure, considering what they're like. So that's the little video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit different. It combined two of my most popular video types. We will be continuing with the other ones very soon. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Trix, you're you, and bye bye.